And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it.
So you got 200 beings from beyond descending upon a mountain. That's a scary thing you saw that day. You just walking downtown and you saw a real tall building. You just saw 200 men just descending. No parachutes, no rocket packs, just descending on top of a building. And then they looking down at all the women walking, licking their lips. Think about that. That's scary, isn't it? But this is what the Bible says what happens. Enoch can just give you more detail, right? But now, going over into chapter 7. We're not going to deal with their name. We'll deal with that in another class. Chapter 7, and pick it up at verse 1. Let's see what happened when they slept with the daughters of men. Go ahead.
And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments.
They taught them what? Charms and enchantments. Witchcraft. This is when witchcraft was initially introduced to man from fallen angels. Go ahead and read.
And the cutting of roots.
And the cutting of roots. That's why today, in like in the country, they call witchcraft roots.
That's how they know.
But how do they get their information? From fallen angels? Think about that next time you want to go to a witch doctor. You get information from fallen angels. That stuff is wicked. That stuff will corrupt you spiritually. You'll be walking around with one shoe on and your underwear on your head talking about you Elvis. That's how messed up it'll have your mind. Go ahead.
And made them acquainted with plants.
And made them acquainted with plants. That's why when you're dealing with these witch doctors and stuff, they be doing all these herbs and all this stuff, mixing herbs. And let me mix my remedies. We got another class where we go to that in even more detail. In case you didn't figure it out, we got a lot of other classes. And the art of exorcism too. But they may not, you know,
yeah,
they're down the road. They're down the road. But keep reading.
And they became pregnant. And they bare great giants.
They bear what?
Great giants.
Didn't it say in Genesis 6 that the result of the sons of God intermingling with the daughters of men were giants, who the Hebrew called Nephilim, or also Gibor, which means mighty men? Did it say that? Enoch saying the same thing. Those were angels. We proved to you from the Bible that those were angels, and now we're showing you directly where Enoch says those were angels. He said they bore great giants. Keep reading.
Whose height was 3,000 ells.
Whose height was 3,000 ells. But if you calculate this out, that put these giants roughly between 25 to 30 feet tall. That's pretty tall, right? Goliath was only about 8 or 9 feet. Comparatively small giant, ain't it? Compared to these guys, right? But go ahead.
Who consumed all the acquisitions of men.
It said they consumed all the acquisitions of men. Everything men had acquired, they consumed it. Go ahead.
And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind.
It said the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. These giants were killing mankind. That's why the Bible says in Genesis 6 they became famous men. Yes, you are famous if you're known for killing everybody, right? That's actually more infamous. But you're still famous though. Everybody know who you are, right? They started killing mankind. So God had to intervene. But let's move on, because we're going to show you that Enoch isn't the only book that states this. Let's go to Jubilees. Jubilees chapter 5 and verse 1. This is a historical testimony to it. It's not a divinely inspired book. This is a historical testimony to it. Let's show you what the Hebrews historically believed Genesis 6 was talking about when it said sons of God. Jubilees 5 and 1. Now let's see how this opens up. Go ahead.
And it happened when the sons of the children of men commenced to increase over the face of the whole earth, and daughters were born to them, that the angels of the Lord saw them in 1 year of this Jubilee.
The who saw them?
The angels of the Lord.
So the author of Jubilees believed those were angels too, right? Go ahead.
That they were beautiful to look upon, and they took unto themselves wives from all of them, whomever they chose, and they bore them sons, and these were giants.
So Jubilee says the same thing Enoch says, that when they slept with these women, the results were giants. These were angels and mortal women, and they gave birth to giants. This is what this was in Genesis 6. This is what these Nephilim were. They were fallen ones. They were the son of fallen angels. That's what people don't want you to understand. That's what people don't want you to believe. How can your elders just tell you, oh, sons of self, and you got all this evidence in the... We didn't even really tell the truth as far as the Bible is concerned. We didn't even scratch the surface of it. And all this stuff, we're talking about giants, and Nephilim, and Raphaim, and Anakim, and Emils, and Zuzims, and Zazumims, and Arba, and all this stuff that you're reading about, and your elder don't have no answer for this, but you still gonna believe those were sons of self in Genesis 6. Come on, let's be serious. Time for you to understand that you're either sitting under a novice or a liar. It's one or the other. You got to admit one of them. Either my elder don't know anything, or he knows a whole lot but not telling me anything. It's one of the two. In either case, you need to pack up and get out of there. But let's move on. Let's take another historical look at this. Let's go to Josephus. A lot of black Hebrews are familiar with Josephus. They read Josephus. Let's see what he says those angels was. Josephus lived during the time of the Hebrews. Let's see what he felt they were. We're going to Antiquities 1.3.1 and paragraph 72. Antiquities in the book of Josephus 1.3.1 and paragraph 72. 1.3.1 paragraph 72. And this is on page 32, JoJo. Go ahead and read.
72. Now this posterity of Seth continued to esteem God as the Lord of the universe, and to have an entire regard to virtue for 7 generations.
See, it's telling you that Seth's descendants remain righteous for 7 generations. But go ahead.
But in process of time, they were perverted.
In process of time, they were perverted. Go ahead.
And forsook the practices of their forefathers, and did neither pay those honors to God which were appointed them, nor had they any concern to do justice towards men. But for what degree of zeal they had formerly shown for virtue, they now showed by their actions a double degree of wickedness.
So Seth became perverted too. All of mankind became perverted. Go ahead.
Whereby they made God to be their enemy. For many angels of God.
For many who?
For many angels of God.
What did they do?
Accompanied with women.
Accompanied with women. Angels accompanied with women. Angels sleeping with women. This is Josephus. Go ahead.
And begot sons that proved unjust, and despisers of all that was good, on account of the confidence they had in their own strength.
So they were very strong. They say they were mighty men, strong men. Go ahead.
For the tradition is that these men did what resembled the acts of those whom the Grecians called giants.
They did what resembled the acts of those whom the Grecians called what?
Giants.
So Josephus is saying that the angels accompanied with women, and they gave birth to what the Grecians called giants. Because actually the word giant is actually a Greek word. So Josephus is saying the same thing. That these were giants. Hebrew, Nephilim or Raphaim. So we got two historical testimonies and a divine testimony, all saying that those were angels in Genesis chapter 6. And they gave birth to giants. But after they did this, something happened. Let's move on. Let's go back to Enoch. Enoch chapter 10 and verse 11. So you got to deal with all of this. You got these people that believe anything these elders tell them. But that's the problem with Israel. Israel always just looking for somebody to just give them quick answers. We don't like to do research. We just like somebody just to tell us something. We don't want to dig deep. We don't want to study. Just tell me what it is. That's why we show people information. People not really, to be perfectly honest, people not really used to this volume of information. That's why we only get rebuttals of sarcasm and threats and insult. That's all we get. Because they don't come from an information-oriented congregation. They come from the elder telling you this what it is and you believe it.